Parking wars, issues, are common in both condo and townhouse communities for several factors related to space, regulations, and neighbor interactions. In this video, I'll review some of the most common parking challenges, potential solutions, as well as a few tips I've picked up along the way. Make sure you stick around to the end. You don't want to miss any of this valuable information. Number 1, limited parking spaces.
The problem? There are often not enough parking spaces for all residents, especially if the household has multiple vehicles.
The solution to limited parking spaces? Check the number of allocated spaces before purchasing or renting, and consider properties with additional guest parking or the option to rent extra spaces. Let's talk a bit more about limited parking space. This could be the reason why you move forward and why you run away. The last thing we want to see happen is you buy a property and then find out the rules and regulations or how many parking spaces there are or aren't. Okay, when you're driving through said subdivision, see how many units there are. You can ask your real estate agent, Google it. If it's a newer community, you can ask the sales rep. You want to know how many properties are ultimately going to be in this subdivision or are already there. Then you want to find out how many garage space each unit has. Are they all the same? Everybody gets 1, 2, 2.5, 3, or does it vary? Then you want to know how many parking spaces are going to be in said subdivision. And last, when we're on that subject, we want to know, or you want to know, how many of those parking spaces are going to be usable by you, your guests. Are they assigned, unassigned? Are they free-for-alls? Are they off limits? This will tell you if this subdivision is the one for you. In fact, some subdivisions don't have driveways, so there's really no other place to park your vehicle if in fact the guest parking is for guests. If it's limited to them only, then it's not for the owners. Thus, your garage has to be used for your vehicle. So if everybody in the subdivision, for example, has a 2-car garage and you have 4 cars, this may not be the subdivision community for you. The last thing you want is to wake up in the morning and your vehicle has been towed away. Trust me, no fun. Number 2, assigned versus unassigned parking.
The problem? Disputes can arise if parking spaces are unassigned or if residents don't respect assigned spaces.
The common solution for assigned versus unassigned parking? Clear communication from the condo association or townhouse management about parking policies and strict enforcement of the rules can help you. Consider properties with assigned parking to reduce conflicts. Do we really need to talk more about assigned and unassigned parking spots? It's sort of self-explanatory. You know what? Let's do it. If you're the kind of person that you come home from wherever you were and you want that spot, then you want a property that comes with assigned parking. If you're okay with the proverbial free-for-all, maybe you get your spot, maybe you don't, then I guess assigned parking isn't a big concern to you. But what you don't want to do is want one and end up with the other. Believe me, sometimes you don't get that spot and you're doing some walking with the groceries, and that's always the time you did some extra shopping, isn't it? You know what I mean. On to number 3, guest and or visitor parking.
The problem? Limited guest parking can lead to guests parking in resident spaces or in unauthorized areas.
A quick solution to guest parking: ensure there is adequate guest parking available and that the rules for guest parking are clearly communicated and enforced. You want to know this information before you sign on the dotted line. Guest parking. Yes, the solution seems simple enough. Is there guest parking? If there is, great. If there isn't, you don't want it. But hang on a second. It goes a little bit further than that. What is the definition of guest parking in the community neighborhood subdivision? subdivision that you're thinking about purchasing. Is it for a few hours, days, weeks? What if you have a guest that wants to come visit you from, let's say, Chicago in the middle of February when it's snowing there and it's beautiful here, and they want to stay longer than 15 minutes at your abode? Well, you better make sure that guest parking allows them to do so. What about exceptions? Can you pay for extended guest parking, or is it just not permitted at all? Before you buy a property, if you know you're going to have guests for longer than an extended dinner or movie, or both, you'll want to make sure it's clear, because there is no "I didn't know, nobody told me, but he or she's doing it." That's not how rules work, and trust me, they can become very costly if broken. If you're thinking about buying, selling, renting, or investing, give us a call for your free consultation. Better yet, check out this little ad for our new mobile home app. It's fast, it's free, easy to use, and private. We don't sell or share your personal information. Best of all, every time you click a property, nobody's going to bother you. If you want to speak with us directly, click the chat button. Here's the QR code. Take a picture of it. You know what to do. I'll even put the link down in the description. Here comes number 4, illegal parking.
The problem: residents or guests may park in unauthorized areas, such as fire lanes, handicap spots, or blocking driveways.
One possible solution to number 4, illegal parking: regular monitoring and strict enforcement of parking rules by the property management, including fines or towing for violators. Illegal parking, that sounds bad. And I know most HOAs and CCNRs have their own rules and they enforce them. There's towing, there's monitoring, but you really don't want to go down that path. If you're purchasing a property or you're looking to purchase a property, you definitely want to read the rules on what is permitted. I know I'm sounding like a broken record, but I can't tell you the number of people that come to me after they find the home that they wanted, but the surroundings, parking's a big one, just doesn't work. And then what it means is that wasn't the place for them. You want your home to be enjoyable. Otherwise, it's more of a prison sentence. If you have to worry about parking illegally or unassigned or just wondering what's happening, if you want friends to come over for a birthday party or movie night, football game, etc., etc., that's one thing you can do without. You just don't want to have that kind of issue, worries on the proverbial brain, when all you want to do is enjoy your little slice of heaven. However, all of this could be prevented. Illegal parking, legal parking, assigned, unassigned, if you just read the rules and regulations of the properties that you're thinking about purchasing. Once you own it, you own it. Sure, we can sell it and find you another one, but let's start off on the right foot and find the property that has enough parking for you, your family, and their vehicles. And storage. I can't stress enough about storage. Most homes here in the Valley of the Sun do not have basements and or attics. So a lot of your storage is in the garage. So you want to make sure that you have room for that as well as your vehicles. Another word to the wise, and I'm trying to give you as much advice as I can throughout these videos, you definitely want to make sure that whatever vehicles may be at said residence will fit in your garage. Bring a measuring tape and make sure that you actually bring that vehicle. Just because you measure, let's say 20 feet, doesn't mean that there's curbage within the garage. There's not cabinets that will allow your vehicle to actually fit within the garage. Again, I've seen somebody pull in and say, oh my God, I didn't know that this cabinet space is now going to prevent me from backing my truck in. Or here's another little example. Sometimes you want to pull into your garage, close the garage door, and open, let's say, the back hatch of the vehicle to unload groceries. There may not be enough room because you had to back or pull in the vehicle, and the back door or hatch, as it were, of the vehicle won't open. If that's important to you, then that's not the property for you. It's really just that simple. Sure, you can get rid of a vehicle, purchase a different one, and life happens. Everybody in the family, if you have a family, may grow up and then want their permits, but then that's a decision you have to make. Those are all after things you want to think about. What I'm talking about is right here, right now, if you're going to buy a property and you know how many vehicles you do have and how big they are, you want to be able to know flat out what is the rules or what are the rules of this property, and can or will it work for me or your family. I know it's kind of all over the place a little bit here and there, but the bottom line is this. If you're buying a property, you want to make sure that the vehicles that you're driving will work in that area. Not just the garage, exterior as well. Sometimes, and this is another little FYI, you have something that might be delivered, or you have extra material, furniture, etc. that might need to take up a portion of the garage for a while. Therefore, you need somewhere to put your vehicle. And if that's the case, then you want to make sure that things are allowed, or your vehicle would be allowed to be left outside. I know it sounds like, when's that ever going to happen? But you know what? Believe it or not, it happens more often than you would think. You need to use your garage for storage of furniture because you're having your carpets cleaned, or you're having new furniture brought in. Or I just actually had a client that they were replacing all the windows in their house, and the new windows were being delivered in a timely manner, but they weren't all there at the same time. So the homeowner was storing the material in the garage, and it was taking up space. So they had a driveway, and that's where they left their vehicle. But if they didn't, it could have been a situation that they had nowhere to put their vehicle until all of the materials and windows were delivered and properly installed, and then the excess or the old windows were removed. So I know that's a bit of a long story, but it happens, and I'm just trying to help you. That's what these videos are here for. If you have any other bits of information, or you'd like us to do a video, or just want to leave us a comment, please do so. Thank you. Number 5, maintenance and security.
The problem: poorly maintained parking areas can lead to safety hazards, and lack of security can result in vehicle damage or theft.
I thought about number 5, or the solution for number 5, maintenance and security. Here's what I came up with. Let me know if you have something different that might help. Choose properties with well-maintained and secure parking facilities, including proper lighting, surveillance cameras, and regular maintenance schedules. Number 5, maintenance and security. I know our solution was short but accurate. However, many potential buyers overlook this. If you don't have a garage, or if the property you're thinking about purchasing doesn't have a garage, and your vehicle is going to be outside, and for most, our vehicles are very important to us. Some of us actually love our vehicles. Be that as it may, whether you do or don't love your vehicle, if it's outside, or maybe a parking ramp, you want to make sure that there's proper security, lighting, perhaps cameras. Are those cameras recorded? Can you go back and look at the tape to see what did or didn't happen? Should something happen to your vehicle, vandalized, worst case stolen, or maybe that's not the worst case, but my point being is you want to be able to see on camera what's going on. Many times the parking for your vehicle, like in a high-rise situation, you're not able to run out to your car. It's on a different floor. Sometimes it's in a different building. So security, especially with technology now, is huge. The other part to number 5 was maintenance. You want to make sure that the parking lot is going to be properly maintained. The parking spaces are always lit. If again a ramp, the lines are clearly painted, the signs are posted. These are things that are important to you, and many times you don't think about this when you're just looking at the interior or exterior of the property, but parking is very important. Vehicles nowadays are very expensive, so you want to make sure you keep your eye on your vehicle, or at least have somebody watching it for you when you're not able to do it yourself. If you're thinking about buying and or selling, perhaps relocating to Arizona, make sure you get your free guides. They are beautiful. And did I mention they're free? Here comes number 6, parking for special needs.
The problem? Lack of sufficient handicap parking or accommodation for residents with special needs.
The solution to number 6, parking for special needs, this one is near and dear to my heart, and I hope we can all agree that it's best to get this resolved prior to any issues. Ensure the property complies with ADA, Americans with Disabilities Act, requirements and provides adequate parking accommodations for residents with disabilities. This next bullet point, although special needs in reference to parking is what we're talking about, I could do a whole video on it when it relates to real estate. Let me know in the comments if it's something you're interested in. I'd be more than happy to talk about it. But if we're going to dial in specifically on parking, if you and or somebody that will be living in the property you're thinking about buying has special needs, here's the best advice I could give. Read the rules, regulations, again, CC&Rs, that the HOA have put together for you in reference to the community and parking. And the next bit of information, this bit of information, to me is everything. Whatever vehicle or vehicles will be transporting said people with special needs, bring it with you. Make sure it will fit in the garage, if there's a garage, the parking ramp, the outside parking. You don't want any hassles when it comes to transporting people with special needs. You want to make sure that it's as easy for them as possible. Assigned parking, dedicated parking, just as easy as it can be. And all of those rules and regulations will be enforced and followed to the best of everybody's ability, but you want to know what they are up front, and you want to make sure that whatever processes are in place, are they permanent? Can they be altered? You don't want an act of Congress to be able to have somebody with special needs have the ability to come and go as freely as possible in relations or in regard to parking. So up front, make sure you know what parking for special needs is. And again, make sure that the vehicle or vehicles that are going to be used to transport anyone with special needs are going to work well in the community that you're thinking about buying. Otherwise, you don't want to live there. It's not the place for you. You want your house to become a home. You want it to be as comfortable as possible. And coming and going is part of living in a property that you would call your own. Number 7, parking fees.
The problem? Some properties charge extra fees for parking, which can be a financial burden.
Last solution, parking fees. Factor in parking fees when considering the overall cost of living in a condo or townhouse, and explore alternatives such as street parking or nearby public parking options. Parking fees. I saved this one for last because, boy, it really triggers people, and I understand why. But then again, sometimes I don't understand why, and I'm not trying to speak with forked tongue. Let me explain something to you. If you're going to buy a property, prior to you buying it, you want to do as much research as possible to make sure that it's a fit. Otherwise, don't spend your hard-earned money on something that isn't for you. Sure, you might be able to pay parking fees and towing fees or late fees or whatever it might be in the realm of parking, which is what this video is all about. But why put yourself through that? If you know that you're going to have 3 vehicles, or you have 3 vehicles, and there's only parking for 2, and the balance of the parking is guest or temporary or assigned, it's not gonna work for you. You don't want to be paying fees. You don't want that stress. What you then need is parking for the vehicles that you do have. Maybe you need a driveway. Maybe you need a side garage. Maybe you just need a storage unit. Maybe you need to get rid of one of your vehicles. There's so many different possibilities, and I'm just trying to give the best advice I can, being that real estate is what I do best. But many people, when they're thinking about purchasing a property, they just don't do the research. They don't do a deep enough dive, and you really want to do it. Now, this video is just about parking. it could be taken to another level. It could just be the furniture you have isn't going to fit in your property. It could be there's too many stairs and you have a bum knee, like me. So you definitely want to take a lot of things in consideration. I can go on and on. Trust me, talking is one of my strong suits. A quick side note, which really has nothing to do with parking, but many people when they move out here just assume that everybody needs a pool because it's hot out here. Well, here's the truth of the matter. Pools are a lot of work. Oh, Lord, they are enjoyable. And nothing's better than jumping in one at night or the day or anytime you want to cool off. But they are work. They are expensive, or could be, and there's a lot of maintenance. There's a lot of community pools that you could enjoy. There's splash pads or splash parks. Heck, back when I was a kid, you just took a garden hose and sprayed yourself off. So you don't always have to have a pool. Or maybe you want a house with a pool, and the house that you found is the home of your dreams, but it doesn't have a pool yet. You know what? If the yard is big enough, down the road, you could put any pool you want. You could put it in the shape of your initials, or put it in this corner or that corner. I think you get my point. When it comes to parking, most everybody has vehicles, so you want to make sure that whatever vehicles you have are going to be allowed and or fit on the place that you're going to call home. If not, you don't want to put yourself in that position, paying for fees, being told what to do, getting violation letters. Some neighbors aren't going to be happy with you. There's little things that you just don't want in life, and parking issues or parking problems that could turn out to be parking wars is definitely something you can do without. Trust me when I say we will find you a property. And let's look at it this way. If you don't work with us and you go about it on your own, this information, this video will give you something to think about. Whatever the future holds, I wish the best for you. This is one of the easiest solutions to take care of. Parking. You just want to make sure that your vehicles are safe and sound. Nobody wants to wake up in the morning and have their car towed away to God knows where. Think about how scared it's going to be in a parking lot all by itself. As promised, here's a few tips for managing parking issues. Number 1, understand the rules. Familiarize yourself with the parking regulations of the condo or townhouse association before moving in. This is key. I know we talked about it throughout the video, but it really can make the difference. Number 2, communicate with neighbors. Build good relationships with your neighbors to facilitate cooperative solutions to parking issues. Number 3, whenever possible, participate in HOA meetings. Some are online, some are in person, but attending homeowners associating meetings to voice your concerns and suggest improvements will always help the community bond. Tip number 4, for managing parking issues. Consider alternatives. If parking is severely limited, explore alternative transportation options, such as carpooling, public transit, biking, or walking. If it's not too hot outside, the last two are definitely doable and good for you. And the last parking tip, number 5. By the way, if you have others, please leave them down in the comments. It's all about helping each other. Advocate for improvements. If the current parking situation is inadequate, work with the property management and or HOA to explore options for adding more spaces or improving the existing parking infrastructure. By being proactive and informed, you can better navigate and mitigate the common parking issues associated with living in a condo or townhouse subdivision. If you're new to the Valley of the Sun, here's additional information, more like words from the wise. You'll soon find out that parking in the shade, or better yet, in a garage, is more of a necessity. From about June to October, the temperatures outside can exceed 100 degrees. Imagine how hot it will be inside your vehicles. Oh, make sure you purchase a windshield shade. They're worth their weight in gold. Well, that's the end of this video. I truly hope you enjoyed it. If you did, make sure you watch this video. Until next time, take care. God bless America. I'll talk to you soon.